All right, so today we're going to be talking about decimals and unit rates. So we're going to take a look at this problem here. We've got the Madison Middle School Outdoor Club went on a 3-day hiking trip in a national park. The club members made a table to show the distance traveled and time spent hiking on each of the 3 days. On day 1, they traveled 9 miles, and it took them 4 hours to do that. And day 2, they traveled 12 miles in 5 hours. And on day 3, they traveled 6.4 miles in 2.5 hours. How can you use the data above to compare the walking rates for each of the 3 days? So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at a unit rate. A unit rate is a comparison of two quantities with one of the quantities being one of a unit. More specifically, usually the second number in the ratio is the 1. In this case, we want distance to time, or distance over time, to be our ratio. So we are going to be figuring basically miles per hour. This is what we commonly, this would be our speed, how fast we've been walking. Okay, so let's look at day 1. Day 1, we traveled 9 miles, and it took us 4 hours. So in order to get a unit rate for 1 hour, we want to figure out how fast we walked for 1 hour. What we want to do is we want to turn the rate, the number for hours, into a 1 for 1 hour. So in order to do that, we're going to divide the number for hours into 1. So we divide 4 hours by 4. We divide 9 by 4 as well, because a ratio works like a fraction. What we do to one side of the ratio, we have to do to the other. So this gives us, down here, this gives us 1 hour on this side of the ratio. We'll rewrite the colon. And 9 divided by 4 gives us 2.5 miles. Okay, so that on day 1, we walked 2.5 miles per hour. Okay, so that's day 1. Day 2 would be done the same way. We would take our distance traveled. So for day 2, we would take 12 over 5 and divide that out. 12 divided by 5. So 2. Add a decimal 0, bring up the decimal, and down. Okay, and we finish out our division, and we'd walk 2.4 miles per hour there. Again, the ratio is still the same, miles per hour. And similarly, we could do that with day 3, which right here, 6.4 miles in 2.5 hours. They walked slower on day 3, probably because they are more tired. So let's take a look up here at the next problem. So before they go on this hike, these hikers make some trail mix. And the trail mix calls for a ratio of 3 cups of raisin to 4 cups of peanuts. So we're going to write this ratio of peanuts and raisins as a unit rate. So before we do that, we need to write the ratio of raisins to peanuts, first off, as it calls for here. So the ratio would be 3 cups of raisins. So we're going to put 3 CR to 4 cups of peanuts. Okay, so basically that is a 3 to 4 ratio. So we're just going to simplify this as 3R to 4P. We're gonna leave the labels on there that we know which one is which. Okay. So for the first part of the question, we want to do it as a unit rate. So we're going to do it in terms of the peanuts. How many, so for the peanut unit rate, that means we want to turn the peanut number, like how many cups of raisins we need per cup of peanuts. So we're going to say per 1 cup of peanuts. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this 3 to 4, and we are going to divide both sides by 4 because 4 is the peanut. So what this does is it gives us 3/4 on the one side to 1 on the other side. Okay, so what that means is we have 3/4 cups of raisins to 1 cup of peanuts. Okay? Okay, so 3/4 cups of raisins to 1 cup of peanuts. As a fraction would be 3/4, and as a decimal, 3/4 equals 0.75. So we're just going to write 3/4 to 1. It would be 0.75 cups of raisins to 1 cup of peanuts. All right, we're going to scroll down a little bit further here. We can also write it as a unit rate for raisins to peanuts by going the other way. So if we do per 1 cup of raisins, okay, now again, most unit rates go with the second number as the 1. So if we go per 1 cup of raisins, let's do this again. So 3 cups of raisins to 4 cups of peanuts, okay? Then we go, as we want to change our raisin number to 1, so 3 divided by 3 to 4 divided by 3, which gives us a 1 cup of raisin to a 4/3 cup of peanuts. All right, so what this means, okay, is that we have 1 cup of raisin to 1 1/3 cup of peanuts. All right, now what we can do with this information is very simple. We can create a table. So I'm going to go back and we're going to use the unit rate for peanuts. So we're going to use the unit rate for peanuts. And that was 0.75 to 1 peanut, and then this should be a raisin, okay? And we're going to create a table. Whoops, went up too far. Okay, so we're going to create a table of 0.75 of raisins to 1 cup of peanuts. Okay, so that if I have 2 cups of peanuts, okay, I multiplied over here by 2, so over here I'm going to multiply by 2, thus giving me 1.5 cups of raisins. Okay, similarly, if we multiply this side by 3, 0.75 times 3, 1 point, or whoops, not 1 point, so 0.75 times 3, that's 15, carry the 1, 21, 22, so 2.25 cups of raisins, and we'd get 3 cups of peanuts if we multiplied that by 3. The other way to look at it is instead of multiplying, we're also adding one value. Since this side is increasing by 1, this was 1, so plus 1, add 1. There's a difference of 1 here. This was 0.75, so it's adding 3/4 each time. And you can continue on. This right here is called a rate table, and it can be done with any unit rate once you have the unit rate, and can actually help you find values. For instance, if we said how many cups of raisins could we have if we had 15 cups of peanuts, we could actually find the number of cups of raisins. So, all right, that's it for this video. I know it was a little long, but pretty tough concept. So, thank you.